Badlands, explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the Republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, Russia, Russian, 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 the Russians. Russian.
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots. Their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. As always, I am joined by Chris Paul. Chris, how are you doing on this war in Iran kickoff day?
Man, my whole world has been blown up.
Wow. I can think of a few people who's had that same kind of day.
Yeah. People were having that day before we even woke up. They were like, oh my gosh, it's war day. This is the greatest thing. This has proved all of the things that I've been saying for years.
It's so funny, man. It's been a weird day for me personally. Like, I didn't realize that being anti-war was such a inappropriate stance to take, but apparently that's a thing now. And it got me thinking. We're obviously going to talk about multiple levels of the Iran situation. We've been talking about it for a few weeks now. I still think our take last week was probably pretty solid.
Yep.
But we'll obviously there's been some developments, so we'll talk about the war itself and what we're hearing, to the extent any of it is even true. I'm sure we'll go down that path a little bit, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think a discussion over the constitutionality. I mean, we talk about that kind of stuff a lot on this show when it comes to other things and how things are getting put back in their constitutional boxes, the original Constitution. And I think there's a discussion to be had about the constitutionality of this specific act of war. And we could even talk about the semantics of, it's not a war, it's just a military operation. To see people pulling that card a lot to justify it. A lot of different rabbit holes we can go down. Plus, we have other non-Iran war things we can talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a weird day.
Yeah, maybe we should lead into the Iran war discussion with some non-Iran war topics that kind of will set the framing.
That'd be good. We could start with that speech that he had yesterday.
Yeah, which I think is important.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do that? Before we do that, actually, let's get a quick word from the sponsors of today's show. We got one now and one we'll do in a little bit. But first up, we got Patriot Protect. Today, it's scarily easy for criminals, scammers, or anyone with bad intentions like the Ayatollah to find your personal information online. Your home address, phone number, workplace, even your family members' names are exposed with just a few clicks. When this much information is public, scams are not random. Hundreds of people search sites and data brokers compile profiles linking your name, address, phone number, relatives, and online behavior. Scammers then use these profiles to decide who to target and how to approach them. That's how identity fraud starts, long before the damage shows up. Patriot Protect removes your personal data from the internet, wiping it from Google and every major website where bad actors search for targets. Patriot Protect finds and deletes your personal information from 240 plus people search engines and data brokers. And once your profiles are eliminated, their search and destroy protocol runs continuous monitoring, so every new exposure is detected and wiped immediately. It's the peace of mind of having your own security team, all for about the cost of keeping your porch lights on. If you want to take control of your personal information and reduce your exposure, go to patriot-protect.com/DPH and use promo code Badlands for 15% off all Patriot Protect plans. Again, that's patriot-protect.com/DPH. Use code Badlands for 15% off. And I can't recommend that enough, guys. Getting your information offline, very important in today's social media ecosystem. And one more quick sponsor we're going to do. It's ourselves here at Soft Disclosure.
Legend says, on St. Patrick's Day, a beard without oil is just a chin with ambition. But a beard with Soft Disclosure beard oil, that's true treasure. Spiced vanilla, naked, smooth as a leprechaun's getaway plan. Soft enough to impress your barber, bold enough to confuse a baby goat. And this boar bristle brush tames your beard like it holds the crown coin. Every bottle is American made, which means when you buy Soft Disclosure, you're supporting 6 American small businesses. That's not luck, that's capitalism with cheekbones. And while you're at it, try our mint green deodorant, because even legends need fresh pits. Soft Disclosure, go for gold. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code TINYBRIGHT for 15% off.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. Promo code does not apply to bottle discounts.
Had you not seen that yet?
I had not seen that, no. Burning Bright is a leprechaun is hilarious. And it almost like I know he's a leprechaun in this commercial, but he looks like a hobbit. And I feel like that is a dream of his coming true in some way.
Kind of. I did say last night on OnlyLands that I haven't actually seen him ever run, but I picture him running like the leprechaun in that video. But we should make a some sort of soft disclosure commercial where it's like the hobbits going up to Mordor to throw all other lotion into the volcano or something and save the world.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Yeah.
But, all right, man. Let's.
The self-disclosure commercials, by the way, are hilarious.
Yeah, they're great. Green Star. Shout out Green Star. He's like our.
Did he do that?
He's been doing all the commercials lately.
Awesome. Yeah, the Jatriot's mom commercial is amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. There'll be more up that alley too. But all right, man, let's get into it. Do you have the clips that you wanted to share from that speech?
Well, I just, there were a number of moments from that speech that I thought were really interesting, but it was kind of an overall, all I could think as I watched it was that I think that I watched some of these things a little bit differently than a lot of other people do.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that people, I guess, are having a really hard time with right now, they want people in quote unquote media to be honest. They want truthful, honest media.
Yeah.
And then they get really, really angry when people are telling the truth in a way that they don't like, which is kind of
retarded.
Proof that they don't really want a true and honest media. They want to feel like the media people they like stating the position they already believe are all being honest with them and not lying on behalf of the system. Well, the way that people aren't lying on behalf of the system is if they're saying things that the system doesn't want them to say. And those are the sorts of things where if you just watch the screen all day and take in what the algorithm wants you to see, take in what the mainstream media wants you to see, and then get mad when someone else is refuting that, going against that, questioning the legitimacy of the things that the screen is saying, that the algorithm is saying, that the mainstream media is saying. If you get angry at that, it's kind of proof that you don't actually want to be spoken to honestly, which I find very strange.
That is interesting, thinking that instead of like trying to, hey, let's destroy the mainstream media because it's a propaganda machine. They've been lying to us. We need to replace them. Instead, it's like they can keep doing propaganda. We just want them doing the propaganda for our side instead. And how does that work when power switches again? Like that's not going to actually fix anything. That's an interesting point. Very interesting.
Well, also, if you wanted to take people who were escaping from, the Matrix is overused, but it's a good kind of quick metaphor that everybody understands. If people are leaving that thing, then you have stages of gatekeepers trying to keep them in. And the people at the furthest stage of gatekeeping are going to be the most difficult to recognize as gatekeepers. Yeah. And they will, until they're actually keeping you in the pen and you can realize it, they will seem like the people are being like, yeah, sure, come on all the way out. Come on all the way out to the fence. Look, you guys found it. This is the fence. Come on here. And then you'll start hanging out with them like right around the fence. And they'll be like, isn't it great out here by the fence? We're like the ones who know everything. It's so cool. And then you're like, wait a second, but what about that thing over there? I see something beyond the fence. And they're like, don't go talking about that. Like everybody knows that is a black hat psyop meant to make people like us look stupid.
That's such a good point. If you stay on the first fence, you get the full breakdown of who has hoo-haws and wee-wees or whatever. However you say that.
You can go fences further than that, and then you'll start finding out about the real stuff, like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff that they totally cleared up this week with the depositions that all these retards have been waiting for like 7 years. And they like film this content in New York at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center. And then Lauren Boebert, who brought her grandkid to New York to wheel him around in a stroller, takes a picture and sends it to Benny Johnson, who publishes it. And then Hillary's like, no, I can't do any more work at the Performing Arts Center.
Even though she wanted a public hearing anyway. That whole thing was so stupid. But I did love that meme that you sent over earlier, where it's like everybody was Epstein Files expert to... I ran more. I love the one too where it's that guy drinking coffee in front of his computer, that old guy. I think I'm done being an Epstein Island expert. I think I'm going to instead be the Middle East geopolitical expert.
Yes. Yeah. The person who's telling us the full backstory on the intelligence on Iran so that they can justify killing 100,000 strangers for like the next 10 years for reasons they're unaware of.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And that's the thing, the thing that I said this morning that pissed people off, which I'm sorry if I pissed you off, but also go fuck yourself. Like I said, it was indefensible and I stand by it. I mean, I still trust Trump. I still support Trump, but I will never defend anybody ever sending American troops to fight foreign wars. Like that, to me, that's an indefensible thing. I'm not going to defend that. That's just one of my things. Like I can understand the justifications for it. I can understand the game theory around it. I can get on board with all those things and still not like, yeah, I'm going to defend that. Like I don't like that. I don't think it's the morally right position. And I've had conversations with other people today, like some good conversations with people that are way more connected than I am, and they explained their thoughts on it, and good conversations. I totally get it, but still, like I can still trust Trump, support Trump, and not agree with everything Trump does, because Trump is not always going to do things we agree with. It's like your kid. You can trust your kid, you can support your kid, but you're probably not going to agree with him if he does something that you think is stupid, right? Like that's life. You're never going to 100% ideologically agree with anybody, and anybody who's like doing those purity tests is retarded. But
yeah, I mean, like, why would you need to complete a loyalty test after 12 hours and still having absolutely no idea what's going on? And no one does have any idea what's going on, and all the information comes from the same polluted chain that everything else comes from. And we can talk about that in a second. I mean, we can talk about it now if you want.
We should save it for later.
So back to the speech. If Trump is legitimately the representative of the people and the tribune of the people, as we believe him to be, and we hope that he is, that means that he is telling us, here's what the powerful people are saying. The people who really control the world, I'm dealing with those people on a day-to-day basis. Here's what they're saying, because they obviously have a lot of power. They're not just going to give all that power to us because we're like, hey, we figured out that like we don't have the power we're supposed to have. You guys have to give it back. Like they're not going to do that. So they have a lot. Yeah, they have a lot of power. They're going to do the things that they want to do, and they also do need the people to go along with their program on some level. And that's proven by the fact that they propagandize us so hard and they censor us and all the rest. If they didn't need us to believe something collectively to allow them to advance, they would just do everything on their own, and they would kill some number of us, and maybe they are, and then they would just have the rest of us as a slave class, and maybe they are. But the point is, they need to try to convince us of some things. They're going to go ahead with their program anyway. So Trump comes to us and he says, here's what they're going to do. What do you think? And we all react to what Trump says, and it all goes out in social media and algorithms, and people are analyzing these things, and they generally know what the American people want. And so Trump, if the American people are like, yeah, well, that's okay, he goes back and he says, all right, I guess that's okay. I told them that's what you wanted. They said they didn't care. So I guess you can have that for now. And that's a normal way that negotiations work. If he's deal maker in chief, this is what we can expect him to be doing all the time. And so that's how I listen to him. And the thing is, if that's what he's doing and he's coming to us and saying, this is how it is, this is how it is, this is how it is, what do you think? And we're just like, gosh, that is the greatest thing I've ever heard all the time, so that we don't get called doomers. We are actually failing him, okay? Because he's trying to get us leverage, and we're like, nah, we don't want leverage. We do not want leverage. We could have all the leverage in the world if we just said no, and we're like, nah, you know what? You need a better deal than that. That's not good enough. And instead, we have the people who are telling us we are at the gate. We are the ones showing you how to get out of the matrix. And what we're doing is telling you that you have to say he's gotten the best possible deal for you at all times. You can never say no. You have to accept it. Just get on your knees and thank this man for telling you what your new deal is. It's crazy. And we are literally failing Donald Trump by just trusting whatever is on Fox News.
I mean, that's brilliant. I don't know how to top that, because that is what we see on a day-to-day basis. That's the best explanation I think I've seen of it. And this Iran war, I don't want to go into the Iran war right now, but it's another great example of it. And I feel like in the past, we wouldn't have cheered these actions. Like if Joe Biden was the one who bombed Iran, like we just saw, I do not believe that all the people, especially like the Q people, I don't want to go into that too far either, but I feel like they would not have been cheering that at all. They would have like hated, like, oh no, another forever war. But because it's Trump doing it, everybody's in favor of it. It's just a weird, awkward thing to witness. But it was Trump's speech at where was he? Corpus Christi?
Corpus Christi, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but this is where you came up with this thought, right?
Well, I mean, I've talked about this for many years, and I would again encourage people to go back and listen to an episode of my show called Divider in Chief, like I did a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
talking about this stuff and what Trump's communications were for, and what we can do in response to that, because that's the important part. Like, if nothing can stop what's coming, if a plan is in place and all of that is moving forward, then we don't need to help it by cheering it along. Okay, we should be focused on our local communities and trying to actually make things better in our real lives, rather than trying to win the internet against bots and retards.
Is it possible to win the internet?
No, that's the other problem.
Yeah, it's a losing battle.
But anyhow, he had some like really big, important comments in his speech. And, you know, I know that like everybody just wants to talk about what they saw on television today, but let's talk about what we saw on television yesterday instead.
Let's do that. Then we'll talk about today.
So I think I sent it to you timestamps, but I have it somewhere. And
you got to pull it up.
Okay. So this is Trump, and he's in Texas. He's got an oil tanker behind him that he says is in from Venezuela with 80 million barrels of oil. And he says, you know how there's like 80,000 people at a college football stadium? This is 80 million. So it's like every person is a barrel of oil, and it's 1,000 college football stadiums worth of barrels of oil. And he didn't say all that. But
how big is that tanker?
I mean, like 3 worlds big.
That's massive.
It's bigger than the 10.5 9/11s worth of protesters killed by the Iranian regime in like the last 2 months.
Don't make fun of that. That's why we went to war today. Okay.
Well, it's one of at least 17 reasons why we might have gone to maybe war today. But anyway, so we've heard Trump talk about the most favored nations thing.
Yeah.
Now we think about insurance companies. He's talking about the middlemen. Everybody, like the most hardcore truthers and Q people, can remember back to when he did the speech at the Whirlpool factory in 2020 and talked about the middlemen and the people that were going to make him go away for a while. All of that was in the context of COVID. It was in the context of pharma and the health insurance companies. He's talking about Obamacare. The Obamacare subsidies stopped in January.
Yeah.
And in this clip that I'm about to play, he talks about all this stuff, and he says that he wants the federal government to stop making payments to the insurance companies for Obamacare. This is
amazing.
All huge shit, and it goes totally under the radar because no one actually listens to Trump's speeches when you can just have people analyze what's on Fox News and match it to posts on the internet, and the next morning wake up and watch Brian Kilmeade tell you about how we're at war. I mean, man,
such a fun episode.
For real, it's 2026, and we are more retarded than we were in 2022. And man, maybe that's our fault. You know, at some point, what else are you going to do other than just be like, yeah, I guess maybe it's us that failed. I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to take the blame. I don't feel like I'm fully at fault. Maybe just slightly at fault. But I don't know. We've been saying this, like we feel like the movement's being held back. We don't know how to solve it. We are doing what we think we should be doing. It's not working. But hey, we're having fun. We feel like one person at a time. Like our community's growing. We got 12K watching right now. Maybe Freshman Fit doesn't do Saturday nights, do they?
They did us a solid tonight by not having some random dude and girls.
Did you see a couple weeks ago they had the guy that's going up against to replace what's his name? DeSantis, the James Fishback guy?
Oh yeah.
He was
I
on
didn't see it, but
Fresh
yeah.
and Fit. Yeah, I was like, what are you doing? Is that a campaign stop for you? Like he's going diner. I haven't listened to anything he said. And he just shows up on Fresh and Fit. I'm like, bro, come on now. But whatever. Anyway, let's watch this clip from Trump.
Yeah, so I put it at 1.25.
Right.
I think that this is so interesting and so important and vanished into the void.
Hold on, pause for a second.
And that should really.
What was his stated purpose going down here? It was specifically for the energy stuff. That's why he went to Corpus Christi.
Energy dominance.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Gulf oil processing. I am not probably saying it the right way, but yeah. And all the Texas delegation was down there. Ted Cruz, Chip Roy, Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick. He brought some congressmen that were running this year. And of course, Texas has their fake primary on Tuesday. And the big contest is Ken Paxton versus John Cornyn versus Wesley Hunt for who will be the Texas Senate candidate for the fake midterms this fall.
Did you say there's also some Iran comments in here too?
There are at the very, very end of the speech. And we can listen to that in a second. But it's a minute of Trump talking about it and saying, yeah, we don't really want to go to war with them.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that at the end. Let's listen to this.
Really do it, and other presidents have tried, and they were unable to get it. They were unable to get the other countries to do it. They were unable to get the drug companies. Everything's done. Everything is signed up. You know that Ted and John and everybody, everything is signed up, done, and there it is. I mean, it's amazing. Now it's just taking hold. When it was done, a major paper. It's the single biggest thing in years in medicine. A major paper put it on page 22 of the newspaper. So we have to explain it. It's the biggest thing. It's the greatest thing. One of the great things. And that also has to do with bringing your health care way down. Since the passage of the Unaffordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, did you ever hear of Barack Hussein Obama? Barack Hussein. Who likes Barack Hussein Obama? Who doesn't like him? I've heard worse. I've heard less popular people than that. Big insurance companies have gotten rich with our government, giving them hundreds of billions of dollars as their stock prices soared because Obamacare was good. It's rotten health insurance. Good for one reason, the insurance companies. The insurance companies made a fortune. The insurance companies own Democrats. They own them. So the Democrats never want to do anything good for us. They want to do it for the insurance companies. That's why Obamacare is terrible, and it's way too expensive. So that's why in introducing we call it the Great Healthcare Plan, I want to stop all payments to big insurance companies, and all money, billions and billions of dollars, goes directly to the people so that you can buy your own health care, which is better and much less expensive than Obamacare. Right? You like that, Dan? Dan Patrick likes it. If Dan Patrick likes it, I like. How good a chairman was Dan Patrick, right? He's undefeated as chairman, right there. As I announced on Tuesday, under our new ratepayer protection pledge.
And so here he transitions to another aspect of the energy thing, which I think is super interesting, talking about the grid, especially with the grid failures in Texas from 2021. I don't know if you remember the freeze, they called it, like
that killed everybody or killed a bunch of people.
Yeah. I mean, the power definitely went out. People's pipes froze.
Yeah.
They were unable to get heating into homes. They talked about some of the elderly dying from the cold. That was because Texas had passed all these laws that divided up the energy sources. They were supposed to use a certain percentage at all times of renewables. And so if those ever failed, they had to still keep the percentages, the ratios in line, which meant they couldn't supplement with non-renewable energy. And instead they just left the power off.
That's so dumb.
Well, yes, it's the dumbest, most corrupt shit in the world. But that's how our government operates. And that's true of Texas too. And you know what's actually funny, man? Everybody here, not everybody here, but so many people who are kind of in our general like environment, they love the uniparty right still. They still think it's better to have Republicans in government than Democrats, and they believe that it makes a difference. And I thought it was really funny this week that I think it was the Harmeet Dillon side of the DOJ, and say what you will about that, but they added new states to the states that are being sued for their voter records.
Yeah, we're up to 29 states now.
Yeah, they were Republican states like Oklahoma, where Trump won every single county. So what are they looking at? Why are the Republican states hiding their voter statistics?
That's a great question. And, speaking of the whole Republican versus Democrats thing, and we always talk about a uniparty. I feel like we don't talk about it enough. There's so many people, like how many people in this community can honestly say when they talk about these politicians, every single time they actually address them as the uniparty? I mean, I don't even do that successfully 100% of the time. Maybe that's something we can do to slowly start getting less retarded than we were in 2022. At least talking about it, how it really is, the uniparty.
Yeah. And I mean, this has nothing to do with you saying it or not saying it, but I think it's really important that we are direct with our language, which is what I've tried to practice for many years. Like, yes, make sure that every bit of analysis goes through the uniparty thing. And when someone says Republicans, Democrats, like, no, it's not Republicans and Democrats. It's a uniparty. The distinction you're making between Republicans and Democrats does not matter. And if everybody was operating that way, it would be much, much easier to get out of these problems. And it would certainly be a lot easier to give Trump leverage. But anyway, he goes into this energy thing where he talks about power plants being set up next to data centers. Now, that is the Bitcoin mining setup, as we've talked about many times. But he also says that they need to be returning power to the grid that is going to lower energy prices. So I think all this stuff is big picture, super important. And Trump is bringing these things to the people and saying, look what I have extracted on your behalf from these people, because it really is a deal with a side that is much more powerful. He is bringing us into that deal. And Steve Bannon talks about this all the time. He says, like, you're not in the room, you're not at the deal. Trump's putting you at the table. And we get there to the table and we're like, hey, no, whatever he says is great. Whatever you guys want, great. Thank you so much for having us in here. That's all we need. No, just say no.
Just say no, guys. Just say no. Are we going to listen to that? Oh,
I mean, we can. I can pull it back up.
We don't have to. I want to listen to the Iran thing because thinking of that speech yesterday, he probably knew at that point, like, hey, tomorrow we're going to be, or tonight or whatever, we're going to be bombing Iran. Because he went straight there in Texas to Mar-a-Lago. And I'm pretty sure every bombing and operation that they've done so far this term has been from Mar-a-Lago. I know for sure the Venezuela one was. I think the June one where they took out they did the Mission Impossible thing, or not Mission Impossible, Top Gun maneuver. Yeah, they did that from Mar-a-Lago. And now these first initial bombings on Iran, those were all from Mar-a-Lago as well. That's weird. Everybody gets all mad about the backdrop and everything.
Did you see how they put out a JD picture where he's in a situation room for the vice president? Yeah, with the vice presidential seal behind him, and he's got Tulsi Gabbard there. Just really great propaganda.
And that's interesting. Those are the two people that the CIA said this week or this last week were the only voices of reason against the war or whatever.
Yeah, that Kiriakou clip from last week, right?
Yeah.
Besant was in there in the room, by the way, too. So
yeah, he's gay. It doesn't count. All right, let's play this part. Curious to see what he says.
Respects us. Russia respects us. They all respect. They respect your president. They respect, and I respect them. We've got a lot of things going on. Now we have a big decision to make. You know that. Not easy. Not easy. We have a very big decision to make. We have a country that's been for 47 years blowing people's legs off, arms off, the face. They've been knocking out ships, killing people, lots of people, not only Americans, lots of people. It's been terrible. 32,000 people killed over the last 2-3 months, protesters. 32,000. That's some number of people. 32,000. They want to make a deal, but got to make a deal that's meaningful. I spoke with Ted Cruz, John, all of them. On the way here, I said, well, you got to make a deal that's meaningful. We hit them real hard, as you know, with those beautiful B-2 bombers recently, knocked out their nuclear capability. But I'd rather do it the peaceful way, but They're very difficult people. I want to tell you that. They're very dangerous people, very difficult people. With the help of proud Texans like you and people we have today.
That's basically it. And then he just goes into kind of the wrap up of the speech.
Yeah, that's interesting though, because those numbers he rattled off, that's what he said in his speech this morning, the video that he put out. He said those same numbers, all those same things. So I mean, he clearly knew he was going to be doing whatever they did this morning.
By the way, the 32,000 number of the protesters, he talked about that in the State of the Union speech the other night.
That's true.
There's nothing behind that number, and people have to know that. That's just like a number that he's saying. And maybe he has super special information and he's telling us the truth all the time. I get it. I get people are very upset when you question something that Donald Trump says. And certainly I don't give two shits about what the human rights organizations say when they're counting up protesters who have been abused, because they do that everywhere all the time. And all of these numbers are total bullshit. But the idea that 32,000 protesters have been killed in the little color revolution they've been waging in Iran is preposterous. And even if it was true, it wouldn't be a reason for us to go to war.
Yeah, totally agree with that. We should watch Trump's speech that he did, or this recording. If you're down, we could listen to it a little fast, 1.25 speed. Because it was after I listened to this that I posted my first initial thing that everybody freaked out about on social media. So let's listen, and tell me if you want me to pause at any point.
Cool.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels in international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests.
I think we should pause it here.
Sure.
Then we can finish the rest of it. There was a good comment here for $5 in the Rumble rant. Says from Peyton Pooh, Iran is not a threat to the U.S. Israel is. Infiltration from within Congress, stop the funding and weapons. That's one of the things I'm seeing a lot of is like people trying to justify this as, they were an imminent threat to us. And this was like an America First war. And like, we're doing it for those reasons. And again, I feel like I have to clarify this. I still trust Trump. I still support Trump. I'm just anti-foreign involvement in American wars. It's retarded that I have to even put that disclaimer out there, but I feel like I have to. But nothing he listed there, none of those things. Like you have to go back 47 years and list all these things as reasons for why we're going to war. Those aren't like legitimate justifications to go to war. And if they are, that's fine. But then you have to use the constitutional method to do it. And another thing I'm seeing is a lot of people who are like, well, it's not a war, even though he just said himself, or if he hasn't said it yet, he's about to. It's a war. Like he used the word war, but then people are like, well, it's not just a war, it's a military operation. It's different. And let's be real, guys. Like, I don't know where I said that. I think I said in our group chat, saying that like, oh, this isn't a war, it's a military operation. It's the same thing the Mormons do when they say it's not sex, it's just soaking. Like it's the same thing. It's semantics. It's like word games. But if you're being honest with yourself, it's the same thing. Like if somebody did what we did to Iran, if they did that to us instead, everybody would call that an act of war. They wouldn't call it an act of military operations. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like the semantics, they don't do it for me. I get why people are saying it. They're trying to like justify what Trump did. And maybe you can do that, but it's not by those words. Like this was an act of war. Trump said we're going to war. This is us getting involved in a foreign war. Like there's no way around that.
It's possible that Trump is just making this conversation happen. I mean, that has to at least be considered. And this speech is Trump going through all of the global intel justifications for seeing Iran as a threat worthy of waging war with that have been used throughout our lifetimes. I mean, these are like all the things that Mark Levin and people like Mark Levin go back to every time they want to talk about Iran. And I would bet if we went back and watched the news coverage of the Iran strike last year and the 12-day war and the rest of that nonsense, we would hear the neocons and the Republican establishment making the exact same claims. And this is just the set of claims that they use to make their case. The 47 years they attacked here and here. They may have attacked in Lebanon. They did the paragliding go-kart incident. It's just this laundry list of potential justifications for the war. And they're hoping that someone's going to latch on to one of them or see them all collectively as the reason why we now need to go in and get them. As for the trusting Trump thing, it is great to trust Trump, that he's doing good things and doing things for the benefit of America, even if we can't see the rationale behind that. Okay, that's just fine. But the thing is, Trump takes all positions, all of them. Yep. He takes every major position and puts it forward. And one side gets really upset about it when he says it. And then after that part of the conversation happens, he shifts his position. And then the other side gets upset about it. And sometimes this takes years to progress. Sometimes he does it within a couple of days or a couple of hours. But he represents a number of positions to spark these conversations, which lead to the arguments, which lead to the people actually kind of coalescing around some position that they all generally agree about. And people coalescing around a position that they all generally agree about is how the country unifies. Okay. So it's not about trusting Trump and just saying that what he says is true in every single moment, even while he's contradicting himself or has said the opposite thing in the past, it's trying to find that truth that only Trump is able to draw out because he's the catalyst for truth. He has done this better than anybody for a decade. And instead of actually trying to understand what he is really doing and placing that in context with our political conversation and the ways we've been lied to throughout our history, we're just like, oh, you think you know more than Trump? Like, what could be more retarded than still saying that in 2026?
Yeah, I like what you said there about it was right before I had it in my head, then somebody distracted me in the chat. What did you say just before that point? Before the trusting Trump point?
Well, we were talking about all of the explanations that he's used over the years and how these are from essentially global intelligence. This is all regime talking points for many years, Levin, the rest of that.
I think I got it. I think it wasn't that far. It was, so he takes both ends of the full spectrum, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Trump himself has taken the one end of the spectrum many times about never getting involved in foreign war. No more foreign wars, no more forever wars, no more. And maybe this won't be a forever war. Maybe it'll be very short. I do believe that whatever we have going on here, Trump's intention is to keep it very limited and short. But by doing what he did spark that debate because now he has taken both sides of the same issue of should America be involved in foreign wars like this? And what's funny is like what I'm seeing and what I really stuck out to me today, and I keep coming back to this, but it was like very, I wouldn't say traumatic for me, but it was like, holy shit, I can't believe the response to this of the people that were all like the president of peace. He's the president of peace. Like all these things, like Trump didn't get us into wars, all these things, anti-war, were all of a sudden very pro-war, very pro bombing other countries, very pro like all the shit we saw today, cheering it on. And again, understanding all the justifications for it, it's just really weird to see people who call themselves analysts and truthers also take both sides of the same issue with Trump instead of trying to figure, like, there's no, they can't even like take the wrong side. Like maybe you're gonna be wrong sometimes, maybe you're gonna be right, whatever side you take or whatever you believe in, but at least be honest about it and persistent with your train of thought. But they don't, they flip-flop based on whatever Trump does. There's no integrity in that.
No, there's not. And it's just a Pavlovian response. The bell rings and they drool and grovel. And again, we shouldn't be here in 2026. And if we are here in 2026, and if people just do want to go back to normal or whatever, hey, just turn off the TV and go back and live your life. Okay. Stop pretending that you're seeking the truth. It's really easy. It's like we want the television to tell us, hey, once and for all, you guys were right the whole time. Now it's all over. That moment's never coming.
No.
But people are waiting for it.
I think my favorite negative indicator today is Mike Pence. So every time Mike Pence gets brought up, everybody gives me shit. Everybody gives me shit 'cause I'm like, I don't believe all those things that you say about him.
Yeah,
everybody hates Mike. Yeah. Everybody hates Mike Pence. And guess who's supporting Trump's war today? He's the negative indicator, guys. You were supposed to disagree with Mike Pence and everything he does. But no, he's very supportive of what happened today. So if there's any consolation for me anyway, it's this, that finally now you guys are the wrong ones that are wrong about Pence, not me. Anyway, let's watch more of the video. Because here's where he goes into there may be Americans who end up dying in this war.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death. So lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Yeah, I do respect how he's doing this in terms of like, it's classic you escalate things to de-escalate. Like, okay, if we're going to do this, let's get it over with. Let's bomb the shit out of all the people. We'll take all the leadership out and everything and then pass it off. Hopefully that's what actually happens is the pass off.
Yeah.
And you know, the whole freedom thing, like this is your opportunity. You guys take your government back. I mean, it depends who fills the void. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. I hope we stay out of that and actually leave it to them to make that decision. But yeah, here we are.
Trump offering the IRGC to lay down their arms and receive total immunity. That is a way to end this whole thing really quickly after you have done the quote unquote decapitation strike. And we're being told that that's already happened. Trump said earlier this afternoon that Khomeini is dead. And we should maybe read that post, because by the end of it, he's saying very discombobulated things again. But if the Ayatollah is dead and the regime is going to be changed over, and all of the people who might fight us simply lay down their arms and receive total immunity, well, everything can remain in place just like it did in Venezuela, and they pop someone else in there, and all of a sudden the Iran threat that was already conquered last year from the obliteration of their nuclear sites is now totally gone. And, you know, he tells the people to rise up and take their country back. Well, there's no indication that the people were ever rising up against the regime in the first place. There's no indication that they have a replacement. There's no indication that they're going to be able to rise up right now and take it over. And so when that doesn't happen, isn't the whole Iranian people are protesting to take back their country thing also gone? And the answer is yes. They are taking out all of the regime narratives. He has done this systematically for years now. Yeah. All of these violent conflicts around the world, all of these dictatorial regimes, we are running out of brutal dictators. And all it takes is telling us stories, because no one can prove a single bit of it as true.
Haven't you seen the CNN videos of the people taking to the streets?
Dancing in the streets. Oh, yes. And I see them all over Murdoch News, the New York Post. It is so crazy to me that all it takes for people to believe like World War III is beginning is to see explosion videos online, like 6 of them, and then to see people dancing in the streets and be like, you see that? We saved them. I mean, ridiculous. It's brain dead shit out there. And people who take themselves really seriously are taking this stuff really seriously.
Oh, yeah. You should see that the chat is real angry. Some people in the chat, not everybody.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's so, it really is so crazy. They want us to tell them bedtime stories.
Yeah. It's crazy. Let's read this post here. Khamenei, one of the most evil people. Am I saying that right? Khamenei?
Sure.
Okay. Is one of the most evil people in history is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those people from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. He was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking systems, which, by the way, wasn't it just like a week ago? Trump was like, well, if I were you, I wouldn't sleep in one place too long because we know where you're sleeping or something. And then like you follow through. That's pretty badass. Like if you're gonna threaten somebody, being willing to follow through is pretty badass. He was unable to avoid our tracking systems, working closely with Israel. There was not a thing he or the other leaders that have been killed along with him could do. I think they said 40 of them or so have been killed, allegedly. This is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. We are hearing that many of their IRGC military and other security and police forces are no longer wanting to fight and are looking for immunity from us. As I said last night, now they can have immunity. Later, they only get death. Hopefully, IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. That process should soon be starting in that not only the death of Khamenei, but the country has been, in only one day, very much destroyed and even obliterated. The heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I feel like there's a quote about that, like bombing for peace is like
what I was gonna go
was
for.
it?
Yeah.
Bombing for peace is like fucking for virginity.
For virginity. Yeah, that's what it is.
That's the one.
Yeah. So it's obliterated, but we still need to bomb, and it's going to take a week or less, or maybe more. Remember in the middle of the afternoon, we heard that it was going to be a 4-week bombing campaign.
It's crazy. I didn't hear that. I wasn't fully tuned into social media today. So I was there for a brief stint in the morning, a little bit this afternoon. So I haven't seen the timeline adjust. But if we're being honest with ourselves, like this feels more like this was a war on behalf of Israel. I mean, if anything, it takes away a lot of Israel's reasons to basically keep Netanyahu in power. Like the Iranian threat was everything that he's used to stay in power for a long time. That's why I thought they did the bombing back in June, was to like get rid of that narrative that they've been selling for 30 years that, you know, they're on the verge of nukes. They're on the verge of nukes. Well, that got taken away in June. So why this? And now it feels like just every possible narrative that Israel could have for wanting to be in a war with Iran is taken away whenever this gets done. Hopefully soon. But yeah, it's also discombobulating, man. We haven't heard a single story about that being used yet, though, either.
A few days, give it a few days. Trump will tell us stories about the discombobulator.
Maybe we'll have a new weapon.
What would you need a new weapon for? The discombobulator is all you ever need. I mean, think about it. The neocons are totally discombobulated.
Yes.
The truthers are totally discombobulated.
I feel like everybody
all of the people on the quote unquote left, which most people are just on, are discombobulated.
I feel discombobulated a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is the same as all of these military operations. The paragliding go-kart incident, Midnight Hammer, Venezuela, Ukraine. It's all the same thing. We're going through narratives that have been built up since World War II, and we are unwinding all of these global narrative conflicts. And Trump's been doing a masterful job at that. If only people would actually realize the job he's doing and stop rooting for the killing of thousands of strangers 10,000 miles away for reasons they don't know. It's so absolute madness. And it's funny that people like believe that they are being super Christians by saying that we should kill Iran because it's bringing on a biblical prophecy, as if they are totally understanding of biblical prophecies. Oh, hey, yeah, they say thou shalt not kill, but it's different if you can claim that it's in support of Israel based on Israeli intelligence that you saw on Fox News. What are we talking about?
I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. I do want to read, get into some of the constitutionality aspects of this. We have these discussions all the time with everything Trump does, Trump always pushes the limits, and we think he's going to bring us back to more of an original form of our Constitution. And it's hard for me to imagine that the founders intended a president to be able to do what he did today. And like I've talked about this at length and studied this stuff at length, and I'm by no means an expert. I'm not trying to claim that. But when it comes to the devolution side of things, I always thought there was some act of war that would have been needed for Trump to interpret, for him to respond with something like devolution or continuity of government. And one more thing before we even get into that, taking out the deep state in Iran, I see that comment a lot. Mm-hmm. I would much prefer, like, have we rooted out the deep state here in America yet?
No.
Like, no. I would rather bomb the shit out of the deep state in America before we go bombing the shit out of the deep state however many thousands of miles away. And that's, again, maybe by taking out Iran, it will lead to us being able to take out them here, because I've seen that justified online too. But that's part of my concern among many others. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. The where's that?
James Comey and Lauren Boebert, they almost took down the deep state in America the other day. Almost.
Who did?
James Comey James Comer.
And Benny Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing really came of that. Everybody's like,
so strange, nothing came of that. And one thing that did come of it was Bill Clinton was like, yeah, I don't think that Trump was involved with Epstein. And Trump came out and was like, yeah, I don't think Bill Clinton was involved with Epstein. What are we trusting Trump on that? Everybody in the chat, can we get a 1 in the chat if you are trusting Trump in his assessment of Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein? All of you Trump trusters and plan trusters out there who are really, really mad at us saying what we think about what's happening on the news, rather than saying the thing you want us to say, give us a 1 in the chat if you trust Trump on his comments with about Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein.
People are, do we need mods in the chat? Is it that bad?
People are having absolute meltdowns tonight, and it's hilarious.
Black Destroyer, are the mods going to time out the right accounts this time? Did we get the wrong accounts last time? Do we have any mods? I don't even know if we have any mods in the chat.
There's not so many 1s so far.
There's a lot of 2s, a couple 1s.
We got a 420. That's nice.
I'm still waiting for the EBS to come from the Super Bowl. So maybe the Iran thing.
I hear it's gonna make the Super Bowl look like the Puppy Bowl or something. Did that happen for the 8th year in a row? Did that happen? I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, I guess the game was okay, right?
We did get a
Bad Bunny thing. That was important.
Which one? What?
The whole Bad Bunny thing. Remember, we spent a week on that.
Yeah. Or the Patriots are definitely going to win, and it's a comms because they're going to win because they're Patriots are in control. Oh, man, we weren't going to do this tonight. We said we weren't going to do this tonight. But John Drake, 83 for $5, said nothing can stop what is coming. But if the retards are any indication of what is coming, then I don't want it. I just thought that was apropos. Maybe that's the right use of that word. Probably not. Okay, let's read this a little bit. Now, Justin Amash, not a huge fan, but I think he has a point here. Jonathan Turley disagrees. I think he also has a point, but I think this is the type of discussion we could be having and should be having around the constitutionality of a president, doing what happened today, right? When Bush or Clinton or Obama did it, we were all against it. We all said it was unconstitutional. Their side supported it. Now the roles have switched and everybody's become a hypocrite again, but it is what it is. It's fine. But let's just talk about it. So this is what he says. The paid grifters, partisan hacks, and bots are out in force, misleading people about constitutional law to defend Trump's unconstitutional war. Here's an important Iran war PSA. Contrary to what you may have heard about the War Powers Resolution, it does not allow the president to take military action for any reason for 60 to 90 days without congressional approval, so long as the president notifies Congress within 48 hours. That is what a lot of people are saying. Mm-hmm. And that is true in terms of the defense aspect of it, I believe. But I think he explains it in here. Section 1541C of the War Powers Resolution states clearly the constitutional powers of the president as commander-in-chief to introduce the United States Armed Forces into hostilities or into situations where imminent involvement in hostilities is clearly indicated by the circumstances are exercised only pursuant to 1, a declaration of war, 2, specific statutory authorization, or 3, a national emergency created by attack upon the United States, its territories, or possessions, or its armed forces. And I've talked about 3 a lot in the Devolution series. And we are going to read Jonathan Turley's take after this, too. So we'll get like both sides. Of the 3 cited authorities, not one indicates a presidential power to take unilateral, without congressional approval, offensive military action. The first 2 authorities allow the president to take offensive military action, but only with Congress's express approval. Article 1 of the Constitution grants Congress the exclusive power to declare war. The third authority allows the president to take defensive military action without Congress's approval in the event of a specific type of national emergency, a sudden unforeseen attack on the United States, happening too quickly for Congress to meet, necessitating immediate action to protect Americans. It's for this last situation, or for situations in which the president introduces forces into hostilities unlawfully, that the War Powers Resolution provides for the oft-mentioned 48-hour report to Congress, that is Section 1543, and 60-day, up to 90-day timeline, Section 1544. If there's an attack in progress on the United States, which is currently happening, we expect the president to respond swiftly to neutralize the attack and protect Americans, and then we will hold the president to account. Framers of the Constitution agreed at the debates in the Federal Convention of 1787 that the president should have the power to repel sudden attacks, but not the power to otherwise introduce forces into hostilities without congressional approval. The War Powers Resolution does not confer any new authority on the president to take offensive military action without congressional approval, nor could it under our Constitution. It instead checks the president when the framers contemplated the president introduces our armed forces into hostilities to repel a sudden attack. The fact that previous presidents have violated both the Constitution and the War Powers Resolution does not and cannot change the law or make any present military action lawful. Now, again, my thoughts when it comes to like the devolution stuff and responding to attack, the Campbell versus Clinton case I often refer to, it kind of has to do with this. And the Supreme Court said there was precedent that they would not question the president based on how he interpreted another country's actions. Like, okay, somebody was going to attack us, the president's going to respond to that. He's the only one that can determine the degree of force of which to respond. So then my question was there an imminent threat? I know there's some thoughts of that. Maybe they will come out as proven, and this was totally justified, and this is pointless conversation, but I don't think we've seen that yet. And there wasn't anything very, very recent that, I would say Iran did to us specifically that would justify it either. So I just think it's an important conversation to have. I'm sure the chat is freaking out. I don't want to look, but
it's really a very low percentage of freak out, but they're freaking out like to a maximum degree.
Yeah, that's cool.
So Trump posted this at 3:35 or maybe 4:35 this morning on Truth Social, an article from Just the News. Iran tried to interfere in 2020 and 2024 elections to stop Trump and now faces renewed war with the United States. So Trump is putting this up top, and that is kind of in line with the national emergency sort of thing as he has laid it out. So maybe there's part of the explanation with what you were just talking about. And that's also something that they've blamed Venezuela for, Russia for, and China for as well.
Yeah, I want to find where I think this is it. This is from Turley right here. Yeah. There's this, and there's another comment, a tweet that he has that I think is pretty good. And Jonathan Turley's pretty solid. So, Epic Fury, Trump can rely on past Democratic presidents for the authority to attack Iran. Those are my column on Fox News on the legal authority for Operation Epic Fury. There are good faith arguments that such attacks should require declarations of war. However, President Trump can rely on his predecessors, including Presidents Clinton, Obama, and Biden, for the authority to carry out these attacks. Here's the column. With the launch of the attacks on Iran, some have already declared the action unconstitutional. That includes the immediate condemnation of Rep. Thomas Massie, who sucks. The president, however, favors the president in this action, though the attack triggers obligations of notice and consultation with Congress. And now, this is where I think he's potentially mincing words, and maybe I should get a little further into this before I even say this, but just because somebody did it before doesn't make it constitutional or okay. Like, the other people also probably did it unconstitutionally. That doesn't make what Trump's doing constitutional, just also makes it unconstitutional. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. But this is the sort of argument that is used in our politics all the time. The other side has done it, therefore we're allowed to do it too. And because so much of our political conversation is about figuring out, based on contingent facts in the news, how the other side was hypocritical in some instance on a day-to-day basis, this is a perfect sort of argument. Like, oh, well, when you guys said it was the other way. Oh, dude, you've totally owned me on social media.
Yeah. And again, this is like one of the things I like about how Trump operates when he does stuff like this, is because we should be having these discussions. If we can't be wanting and seeking to like take our government back and like go back to a more original form of the Constitution, and not be having discussions like this about whether anything that is being done, whether it's an act of war or a tariff or whatever, unless we're having the discussion about whether those things are constitutional, if each of the branches of the government are in their constitutional box. Like, these are the conversations we need to be having. This is what, back to Turley. He says, I'm sympathetic to those who criticize the failure to seek declarations of war from Congress before carrying out such operations. Indeed, I have represented members of Congress in opposing such wars. We lost. The courts have allowed presidents to order such attacks unilaterally. Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution states that the president shall be the commander-in-chief of the Army and the Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states. However, the Constitution also expressly states that Congress has the power to declare war under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11. Our last declared war was World War II. Since that time, Congress and the courts have allowed for resolutions to supplant the declaration requirement. They have also allowed for unilateral attacks on other nations. President Trump has referred to this action as a war and said that it will not be a limited operation. The attack will result in calls for compliance with the War Powers Resolution passed in 1973. The resolution requires, in the absence of a declaration of war, that a president report to Congress within 48 hours after introducing the United States military into hostilities. The WPR mandates that operations must end within 60 days absent congressional approval. Notably, there was a recent secret briefing of the Gang of Eight that may have included a foreshadowing of this operation. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed Saturday he's given notice to those senators. I'm not going to read the quote. The War Powers Resolution limits such authority to hostilities or into situations where imminent involvement in hostilities is clearly indicated by the circumstances and can be exercised only pursuant to one declaration. We already went over this. President Trump has cited the documented attacks of Iran and its proxies on U.S. forces and its allies. It is also a state sponsor of terrorism and has continued to seek nuclear weapons in defiance of the demands of the international community. Recently, don't even read that. You guys get where I'm going with this. Like, he even acknowledges there's a fair amount of hypocrisy in these moments. There's no widespread outcry when Obama did Libya, Clinton, Libya. I think it wasn't that one. There was outcry too. I mean, Congress sued President Clinton back when the Campbell versus Clinton case, but he's for it. I think there's a constitutional argument to be made that, this probably isn't how the founders intended it to be, but as with all things, I don't know everything. So just throwing it out there.
No, I think you're right. And this is not how the founders intended it to be, because they intended it to be a government of, by, and for the people. Now, I've said that the Constitution was overthrown in the Reconstruction, and I certainly don't think that we are operating under the original Constitution of the Republic right now, except to the extent that Donald Trump is doing that in an effort to try to bring us back to that place, which is the explanation for why these Supreme Court cases are going the way that they're going. So I think that Trump has great concern in operating in accordance with the original Constitution. Bringing up anything about congressional approval when the Congress is fake and illegitimate is nonsensical. And I don't think we're going to have time to get to it, but I pulled up, I don't know if you got to that article I sent you yesterday, a liberal writer in some outlet called Prospect or something like that. It was on the front page of Real Clear Politics, which is a pretty sizable mainstream political news site, but they were making the argument that Congress wasn't doing anything and that Trump wasn't even tasking the Republican Congress to do anything, and that the idea of the Congress doing stuff seemed like a notion from the old days, like that constitutional process just doesn't happen anymore. And the truth is, it doesn't happen anymore. It hasn't happened in 6 years. The Congress hasn't been doing anything for the entire time. And part of that is that we're under this or that national emergency. Part of it is that the executive is taking more control of things. But that is what Trump is doing. He's running the show. So why would you go back to Congress? If we want to like talk about the constitutional form, then maybe Trump's doing something wrong relative to that, but we're not in that form.
Yeah. And what you said there too about Congress being illegitimate, like with that in mind, I obviously don't give a shit whether or not what Congress has to say about this. I definitely certainly don't. But again, that's not the argument I'm trying to make here. I'm just saying whether or not this is what the founders intended, constitutionality of it. That's what's interesting. But yeah, Congress hasn't done shit. One thing, I haven't seen a single person yet today, I don't think, and again, I haven't been on social media much, haven't heard everybody screaming about how the SAVE Act is what's going to be to save America. Right now, the thing that's going to save America is bombing the leaders of Iran. But we could have a whole discussion about that. I was thinking of my show yesterday. Yesterday, Friday. Last June, there was a story that came out from Kash Patel and Just the News, and I think it was Chuck Grassley in the Senate or Congress or whatever, who said China back in 2020 sent a bunch of fake IDs to the United States with the intent of committing election fraud. There's a big story and like some weird sort of narrative seeding. But now we're about to pass a bill, or pushing to pass a bill, advocating to pass a bill, the Save America Act, where we're going to fix everything because we're going to have real IDs now. We're going to have voter ID without once thinking about, hey, what happens if people fake IDs? Does it actually change anything if they can fake IDs?
Yeah, the voter ID thing is a deeper issue for sure. It's A, not going to fix anything by itself, and B, going to open up a whole lot of doors about our privacy that we may not want opened. Now, I think that if we're going to have elections at all, if elections could actually work, I don't think that the secret ballot is necessary in the first place. We shouldn't have millions and millions of illegal aliens in the country. But the truth is that problem is mostly at the registration level, when illegal aliens are being registered at the DMV automatically by whatever people are kind of ushering them through the immigration process. They don't actually go to the polling place and cast a vote. So the voter ID is not going to stop them at that point. If a voter registration is already made in their name, a ballot can be printed in their name, which means the system can then cast that ballot, count that ballot, and then make sure that no one has the legal ability to object to that ballot successfully. So voter ID doesn't solve that problem in any significant way. And, you know, there's been this notion lately that I keep hearing, like that the SAVE Act is some stepwise problem to a solution, or that it's like 60% of a problem. It's an on and off switch. Okay. There's no 60% on. It's either on 100% or it's off 100%. There's no like, hey, we've made the elections mostly legitimate. Mostly legitimate elections cannot confer legitimacy on a government. And I don't know why people are ready to settle for that. And then you get called a doomer because you don't want to surrender and take a terrible offer that you could have been given 5 years ago, because that's what the system already wants. Of course, the system wants you to take the system-oriented solution. And by the way, everybody who's cheering the SAVE Act, if you get that, and then the Democrats steal the fake midterms in November, who's going to protest? Who's going to protest? Because all of you will have told your friends, your family, your neighbors, the American public, anyone who follows you on social media, that elections are better now. Elections are fixed. And then when you find out they're not fixed, what are you going to say? Oh, oops, again, for the 6th year in a row, I got the election thing wrong. I went and voted hard and it just didn't work out again. What happened? I mean, it's like so childish at this point.
It is, but I just love it when you talk like that, because it gets Chad all hot and bothered.
I know, man. And people get upset about it, but like, take account for your beliefs, for fuck's sake. I can't believe we still have to have these conversations. We could be talking about how we're going to move ahead in America, right? We could be talking about what the solutions are. After all this stuff is resolved, what kind of society do we want to live in? How do we get there? And instead we're like analyzing the news and catering to people's dumb feelings. It's so lame.
We need a quote what you said there on a t-shirt. about whatever included for fuck's sake. We do have a couple sponsors I forgot to get to, so let me do this real quick, and then I want to go through a bunch of tweets that I thought were just interesting today. The ones that I sent you earlier. Let's go through those to maybe end the show, unless there's anything else you wanted to get into. But lean, guys, everybody's talking.
Well, yes, not right now. We can do it after.
Yeah, after two sponsors, real quick. Everybody's talking about weight loss injections because the results are so dramatic. They work by lowering blood sugar and reducing appetite. So what if you're looking to lose weight but not interested in painful weekly injections, especially when you hear about some of those intense side effects? That's why the doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are remarkable. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it into energy, and curb your appetite and cravings so you're not as hungry. But listen, Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. We can get you started with 20% off and free rush shipping so you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. Visit takelean.com and enter code DPH for your discount. That's promo code DPH at takelean.com. Thank you, Lean and Brickhouse Nutrition and Rumble. And then we got one more here. Just get this pulled up quick. I just got to find which one I want to do. Do Rumble Wallet, maybe?
Yeah.
Let's do Rumble Wallet. They can freeze your accounts. They can shut off your cards. They can lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks do not protect you. They control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can actually own Tether Gold, real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. If you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold, and that's real power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, which is peer-to-peer and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. This wallet is yours forever. All right. Thank you, Rumble Wallet and Rumble Studio. And, okay, couple tweets. Maybe like 5 that I just thought were good. They're funny today. So this first one, some are funny, some are good points, they're kind of all over the map. But this is from John Hoffman. I think he's at Cato. He's a research fellow at Cato. Regarding Khomeini's death, it was never a question of whether this outcome could be achieved. And I think that's obviously true. Like, we could have bombed him, whatever. Sure. The question is, to what strategic end? Khomeini is a brutal dictator. Now, what comes next? Total regime collapse, an IRGC-led dictatorship, prolonged internal discord. To think that Washington can successfully engineer and sustain a new political status quo inside Iran through military force epitomizes the faulty reasoning that has guided U.S. Middle East policy for decades. It also directly contradicts the neocon thinking that Trump ran against. Advancing U.S. interests did not necessitate this war. The threat posed by Iran to American interests has been greatly inflated inside Washington for decades. Tehran's limited military and economic capabilities have long constrained its ability to meaningfully harm U.S. interests in the Middle East, let alone outside the region. Those who push the United States toward war are likely to press for sustained engagement to ensure the total regime collapse and manage an internal transition. Doing so is not in our interest. We needlessly made this an American problem at the expense of more pressing domestic and international issues we need to get out. And the main point I want to say is like what he said here with those who pushed us into war are likely to press for sustained engagement. I still do personally believe this won't be a prolonged war. I doubt we'll get boots on the grounds, hopefully, obviously. If we follow the Trump template, and this is what you were alluding to earlier, he's probably going to rug pull the forever war type people and not give them what they want in that. We'll see what shape it takes. But
well, what if he doesn't do that? I wonder how long all the pro-war people in the chat would support Trump in this war. A month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 4 years? Like, is this going to be the thing that loses him the 2028 fake election? I wonder how long they would stick with him.
I hope we
is
don't
this going to be a forever war? Yeah, well, I don't think we will find out,
No,
and I don't even think a war is happening, so I don't care about that. But
it's a good question, though.
I wish these people would actually make expressions of principle instead of telling us for the millionth time that we have to trust what the television says again. And I don't know if this is the moment, but I hope that we can watch that Kilmeade clip and just go over that, because
do you have it pulled up? I can get it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I have it here.
But you make a really good point, though, is like, is the length of time that something is done what makes the thing go against your values and your principles? Or is it just the thing itself? Like, at what point is there a time threshold that all of a sudden the thing goes from I support this because I'm told to support this to no, I don't support this anymore? That's an interesting thought that people should be having that internal discussion with themselves.
And on what basis would they then shift and change their mind? If Trump still supports it and you're trusting Trump and that's why you support it, well, if he supports it for 5 years, are you still supporting it for 5 years? Do you want more forever wars? Because most Trump supporters didn't want that sort of thing. But there is a certain class of Trump supporters who are lifelong Republicans, who are historically neocons, who supported George Bush in all of the adventurism in the Middle East through the early 2000s. They voted for John McCain. They voted for Mitt Romney. And they are totally, and they probably supported Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or something like that in 2016. They're totally down for forever war because this war actually validates and justifies their positions on foreign wars 20 years ago. And that feels very reassuring, because a lot of people who, haven't admitted at any point, oh, hey, I've been wrong about a whole lot of stuff. They like feeling like all of that is justified, and they've just been right the whole time, never had to change their minds or any of it. It's it's sad that we're still here.
Yep.
This Kilmeade clip, I think, is really there's a lot here. And I think that there's I wrote a post about this on Substack today, and I'll just kind of give this as a preview. So we have the host of Fox and Friends standing next to a screen. On the screen, there's a map. On the map, there's a bunch of circles, and they tell us there's the least scary weapons up to the most scary weapons. And then the circles go away, and then dots come in, and they say, look, these are all the important places in the region. And then he tells us where the intelligence comes from, and it turns out it's a pro-Israel neocon think tank staffed by H.R. McMaster and a bunch of Bushies, funded by global philanthropists. They're the ones running the intel that goes out on Fox News. Then they have the on the ground reporter so that we can know it's very real. There's someone over there who's going to tell us the truth about all this. Then they talk about how it's CIA and Mossad together getting the intel on the ground in Iran to lead up to this. And of course, we are working in coordination with Israel for targeting and attacks. And I just wonder where that fits into the America First ideology.
Interesting question. Let's take a listen.
To hit our militias over in Iraq. They were able to hit Kuwait with the short-range missiles to go about 190 miles. And then if you look at the orange, this is going to go.
Anytime I ever see these like news people on a screen like this, I always think the South Park clip where they draw the big penis on the board. Maybe that should be our outro tonight. Anyway.
To the outer perimeter. This is where they've hit. They've not hit Oman, but we have other allies like Jordan in the area. We have other allies like Saudi Arabia in the area, United Arab Emirates. We've already know they've been targeted, thankfully, including Bahrain. There's been no casualties or substantial damage that's been reported so far. You see a lot of that video online. And then you got the outer ring. You got this is rockets that they have. If they still have it in their arsenal, see how far they can go, about 1,243 miles. And finally, this is why we had missile defense in Europe prior to Barack Obama becoming president. It's because they had missiles that could hit Europe. We were concerned about Iran hitting Europe. But President Obama said, I have a good idea to show Russia, since it annoys him so much, that we're going to be friendly. We'll take them out for no reason. Turns out Russia's not too friendly. Let's take a look at another map from the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. This takes a look at all of...
So Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, go to influencewatch.org, type that in, Foundations for the Defense of Democracies. Look who's behind that group. I encourage everyone to go and do that.
What we have in terms of our bases in the region. As you see, we have a lot of assets. This is the bases that are there forever, that we all know about, that everyone knows are there, are in the dark green. They're in and around the perimeter of Iran. We're concerned about them being targeted. Of course, other bases with a military presence that we've bulked up for this operation because our so-called allies like France, England, and others said, we don't want you based there. And actually some in the region. Those are in the white. So these all could possibly be targeted. The question is, and there's been reports, that this whole operation has caught the Ayatollah and his minions and the IRGC by surprise. Number one, the day in which it started, because we had talks scheduled over the weekend. And number two, the fact that it started in the morning in Tehran, about 2 in the morning here. And one more map we'll take a look at that I think is important for the share. That map would be, do we have that other map to pop up? Perhaps not. Well, we're in a bit of a standoff. Okay, these are U.S. bases right near Iran. Okay, we'll hold off on that. So with that, let's go over to Lucas Tomlinson live from West Palm Beach about what's going on. That is where the White House essentially is right now, right, Lucas?
That's correct, Brian. President Trump arrived at his Mar-a-Lago estate last night after speaking in Texas. And we heard him tell reporters he was not happy with the negotiations. And if you needed more evidence, look at the strikes last night. These combined U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. The second major attacks against Iran going back to Midnight Hammer. A lot of significant differences, though. Of course, Midnight Hammer back in June was 7 B-2 bombers dropping those 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs. So far, we have not seen any evidence the B-2s are overhead, but it could get even more noisy tonight when the sun goes down, Brian. There's been a lot of talk about why this operation took place during the daytime. Last night, people were looking at the moon. It was near full over Tehran. Why daytime? Well, there's no question that the CIA and Mossad has been looking around inside Iran, establishing a pattern of life and seeing Iranian forces gearing up for a nighttime strike. So it's only the next logical thing is for U.S. military planners to see a more relaxed atmosphere during the day. We're in the holy month of Ramadan across Iran, and it is very clear that U.S. military planners saw, with their Israeli counterparts, saw an opening for this morning strike. As you mentioned, the first bombs dropped at about 9 a.m. local.
So
crazy.
Yeah, and this was first thing this morning, by the way. And so an attack happens in the middle of the night while everyone's sleeping. The people who go on television to read the news off a teleprompter are up just immediately in the morning, researching diligently to find out exactly what's going on the other side of the world. Total fog of war. Impossible to know anything about what's going on except what Donald Trump has said, and then a few explosion videos on the internet. And then they come out and show us all these maps and tell us this is how everything is going down. We have this information from this pro-Israel think tank. We know that CIA and Mossad were on the ground spotting all the locations. Hey guys, they're just reading a script and talking points that were sent to them by the military-industrial complex and global intelligence, and they are going on a television station sponsored by transnational corporations and the pharmaceutical companies that sell you vaccines in their commercials. And they're like, hey, guys, this is what you need to believe about the war. And everybody's just like, well, yeah, we got to believe that.
And they cheer it, too.
Yeah.
Don't forget the cheerleading. That's great, though. I love the use of the maps. It's how you really hammer the point home, you know?
Yeah.
Great use of props.
And he gets the audience on his side. He says, hey, you know, these green dots, we all know where the bases are. These are the green dots. These are the ones we all know about. But there are these other ones, the white dots. They can hit those too.
Another tweet that I see going around a lot, or this kind of rhetoric, and I think it's a fair point. Let's be clear. This is a war on behalf of Israel. Netanyahu has personally lobbied Washington to attack Iran for more than 3 decades. This war is not America first. It's Israel first. Israel is the greatest strategic liability the United States shoulders abroad. I think that's a very fair point. I think we should probably listen to get Ghost on some shows this week, our token Jew guy, and get his thoughts on this. There's a few of these. This one I thought was good. Again, there was no imminent security threat from Iran. You will hear Trump administration officials and the usual Iran uber hawks say this till they are blue in the face. But the fact they had to reach all the way back to the 70s and 80s to justify strikes is very revealing. I thought this was hilarious. says right there in Romans 13, if Harry Truman, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama did it, then the Constitution is dead and my guy can do it too. This is another good one. The older I get, the more I realize that the U.S. being surrounded by the world's two biggest oceans and having its most powerful military in all of history surely makes it the most vulnerable and endangered country in the world. This here, I get the cynics. I understand the hawks. I even get the mindless militarists. But if you're the sort of person who in the year of our Lord 2026 earnestly supports this to free the Iranians, I genuinely don't know what the last 25 years have taught you.
Yep. And again, we had the same laundry list of excuses for why we should go to go to war with Iran that have been used for decades. They all get rolled out today, and people are like, well, today they're true.
Yeah. Last one I'll show here is this one from Jonathan Charlie. I meant to show this earlier, but I think this is what makes the debate about the constitutionality of this so interesting, is because whether or not there was an imminent threat is irrelevant now, because now there definitely is, because we bombed them. This is what he says. He says, Senator Tim Kaine insists that there was no imminent threat. However, even if true, there now is. The Revolutionary Guard just announced a full-fledged attack on the U.S. and its allies. All threats are now imminent, and all attacks are arguably preemptive. It is impossible to make this catwalk backwards for the purpose of a war resolution. How would you draft a resolution that limits the military in taking out assets or resources of an active combatant? Such limits could put personnel and allies in greater danger. After decapitating the regime, these units appear to be operating on prior orders and plans. The U.S. military is rushing to take out these assets before they are used by the IRG. Would Congress limit such actions or require only responsive, not preemptive strikes? There are good faith objections to this commencement of such attacks. However, it's hard to see how Congress can limit the prosecution of this operation as the IRG launches hundreds of missiles and threatens to close the strait. So yeah, it's interesting.
The preemptive war began, and then Iran responds, which makes it no longer a preemptive war. Now it's just a war that we're in, which then legitimizes it. And that is absolutely crazy. The other step of that is something we've seen mentioned all over the place throughout the day today, which is that Iran's sleeper cells in the United States are going to activate and commit acts of terror. Well, when that happens, we should be really skeptical about those events and see, hey, how are they proving that this was Iranian groups committing these acts of terrorism? Because they could just be other global regime paramilitaries committing these acts of terrorism, which are really just trauma event psyops. And those will, again, confirm that we have to go to war with Iran. There will be no proof that Iran had anything to do with it, but we will be told by the neocon machine that they did, and that will be enough.
Yeah, those will also be blamed on Trump, which is what's unfortunate. Like, they will use those as an attack vector against Trump.
Yeah.
Blame him for it.
And speaking of that, I mean, the funny thing about this is that there's not really a part of the country besides lifelong neocons that think this is good. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not just like it's like.
And the people who say it's part of the plan, they all think this is good too.
Yes. Well, they're neocons though.
That's
I mean, we should at least understand that a lot of the people in that space are neocons who just were led into that and interpret what's happening through that lens. And it's fine to interpret things through that lens, but if you're still a neocon after that, you kind of misunderstood what you were being taught.
Yeah. And neocons, by the way, it's very interventionist type of ideology.
It is global war all the time. It is an ideology that is literally downstream from Trotsky. Like, it is Bolshevism 100 years later, and now it's gone worldwide with military. So the Bolshevik idea, the Trotsky idea, was revolution all the time, everywhere, and they wanted the people's revolution. Now this is military overthrow of regimes everywhere all the time to install that same governing ideology.
Yep. Alpha has a couple comments here in the chat. We could probably get to Rumble Rants. What time is it?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we can get to Rumble Rants. Let me check the boost quick, and then I'll get to your stuff here, Alpha. By the way, guys, get your GART tickets if you haven't yet. It's coming up April 9th through the 10th, or 9th through the 12th in Nashville. Going to be a great time. Got a big crew coming. Should be a lot of fun. A lot of people showing up. 1027 JS says, for $20, thanks. Thank you, Joe, my fellow North Dakotan, for staying warm. Liberty 2112 for $5 says, one likes to believe in the freedom of music, but glittering prizes and endless compromises shatters the illusion of integrity. I love that. And then we also got Liberty 2112 again, or 2112. Song of the day, Spirit of Radio by Rush. Honest machinery making modern music can be open-hearted, not so boldly charted. It's really just a question of your honesty. Yeah, your honesty. I like that. Oh, somebody just left around. This is a good point to make too. Submissi Q and Yogi says, you guys didn't mention Russia and China much. Why no movement? What's their long game? Iran is more their territory. That is one of the interesting things is you'd expect, like with their ties to Iran, that there would be some sort of like, okay, well, maybe we'll come help out or whatever. I think it's more of a sovereign alliance type proof that that hasn't happened and isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Definitely notable. It's a great point.
And Trump is 5 weeks from going to visit Xi. They're having like their big government. I don't know how. I don't remember what it's called in China. It's like their party Congress meeting this week or whatever.
Yeah. Also, I saw a story today that supposedly Russia has agreed to Ukrainian security guarantees or something. I don't think we've seen it confirmed from Russia or the United States, but Ukraine said it, and we can believe everything people from Ukraine say.
Did you see Volodymyr Zelensky declare victory this week?
I did not see that. I heard about it, but
I have to. I'll find this.
I'm curious what his version of victory looks like.
His version of victory is accepting the status quo as it is and saying that they did a good job.
And so that's Russian victory.
Well, no, now it's Ukrainian victory.
So he's just taking the victory?
Yes. Yeah, he's just declaring victory.
It's like an election when both sides are like, no, I won. No, I won. No, I
Let me
won.
see if we can find this. Oh, man, I have to find this.
You find that. I'll read Alpha's rants here, and then we'll go back to the beginning and read them all. Alpha Warrior Show for $5 says, fake elections mean fake consent, and fake consent destroys constitutional legitimacy. Without real representation, the Constitution is just branding, becomes the tool used to stop you, not protect you. Totally agree, but we're not we are talking about the illegitimacy of Congress and whatnot, but we're not operating that way. They're not operating that way. Trump isn't operating that way. Well, sometimes he is, I guess, but sometimes he's not. So totally agree with you, but we haven't crossed that threshold yet to have that kind of discussion. I don't think anyway. And then Alpha says again, post number 2, POTUS must isolate himself to prevent negative optics. This is why Trump makes retarded comments about bad people being good or vice versa. Next sentence in post is solid too. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I don't know which post you're referring to, but thanks for those, Alpha. I heard you and Josh had a good show tonight. Let me know when you're... Oh, you got the clip?
Yeah. All right.
Russia couldn't and can't occupy us. They didn't win, and for us, it's a victory. We defended our independence and freedom. We could do. They didn't change our geopolitical view. They didn't change the country. They didn't change our flag on their flag. These so important things. That's why I'm proud of it, and I'm sure that Russia really recognizes now that it was a big mistake.
Russia got everything they wanted. Like, Russia has been at the lines they wanted. So them saying that they didn't want to go into Ukraine, or nobody thought they were going to go all the way into Ukraine and take it over. So
it's been at the status quo now for 3.5 years. Russia has had all of those territories in the east. Those territories voted in referenda to become part of Russia. It's only part of Russia the entire regime and the regime media have been talking about how that's Ukraine and they're going to take back that territory. And now Zelensky's just like, no, we actually won by them not taking over all of Ukraine. It's incredible.
It is, because where the boundaries are now is what Russia wanted in the deal that was on the table back 6 months into the war or whatever it was. That's crazy. Love it.
I mean, I know people get really frustrated when I say things like, hey, this thing's fake. I said that thing was fake 4 years ago. And now we are getting to the winds down portion of it. And this thing could just disappear. Zelensky has declared victory. We'll eventually hear a story about how they've agreed to terms. And those terms will be exactly the same terms as the status quo ante. It was this way 4 years ago. Yep. It's not possible to wage a 4-year war to a standstill where one country is winning the whole time. And, you know, people are like, well, what's your opinion about this then? How could this have been fake? Well, it can all be fake. You're just watching things on the screen. You have no connection to it whatsoever. And like logical deduction is actually a better way to approach all of these scenarios than trying to figure out how you can weave your way through the stories on the news so you get the perfect outcome that like matches up with all the different stories you really care about. And then you say the other ones, oh, those are kayfabe or those are fake news. No, it's all fake.
Love it, man. Love it when you say things the chat doesn't like.
Me too.
12 Indie Boy says, I heard there is a war and I'm very emotional about it. By the way, I wore my co-founder shirt all day and no one asked me about the war. See you in 39 days, Gart Fever. 39 days, coming quick. Can't wait. Good to see you tonight, though. Aussie Mix 73 for $20 says, I heard mainstream media saying how gas prices will skyrocket, even though we're energy dominant now. So I thought I'd send you guys some gas money just in case. LOL, thank you for the sanity. Catch up tomorrow. Good night. Thank you for that. Appreciate the support. And I'm sure gas prices will do their thing. Oil industry will... Isn't that tomorrow? They start like freaking out, or is it Monday?
Tomorrow, I think, is when the prices start. I think it'll be like late tomorrow. They'll start freaking out.
Sure. Peyton Pooh says, Iran is not a threat to the U.S. Israel is, we read this earlier, infiltration from within. Congress, stop funding and weapons. Old School 69 for $2. Great show, gentlemen. Very interesting time to be alive. Let's see what happens. Please check out my photo. I will do that. This is the photo. Says, I've always won. I'm going to continue to win. And that's the way it is. Donald Trump. Would you like to play a game? Playing chess. It looks like he's playing chess with the black guy there.
Hard to tell.
And it's hard to tell. Johnny A says, Mike Pence is still a piece of shit. Jon and Chris, I enjoy the insight. He may be. But not tonight. Tonight, everybody loves him because he agrees with the war.
Mm-hmm.
Wedge Gravy for $5 says, ask ChatGPT how many Iranian nationals served in the Obama and Biden administration. It's quite a few, if I recall. There's a big one. What was the gal's name that everybody freaked out about in like 2023 or 2024? Do you remember that?
An Iranian in the Biden administration?
Yeah.
I don't remember a woman.
Hold on, I'll find it. It is Arain Tabatabai, an Iranian-American political scientist, served in key roles for the Biden admin, including on the State Department's Iran nuclear negotiation team, later as chief of staff to the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations. She's the daughter of an Iranian professor and holds U.S. citizenship, not Iranian nationality. Yeah, there's big freak out about it because reports linked her to an Iranian foreign ministry influence network called the Iran Experts Initiative. Anyway, Peyton Pooh says, heading to Florida Gulf side for 2 weeks starting Thursday. I couldn't find a get together on the site. You want to meet near Sarasota? I'll try to contact the channel. Yeah, go to badlandsmedia.tv/groups and maybe just put out a feeler for a group on that side and you can check it out. And Natalia Trumpo, we have co-founder shirts. You didn't know that? Badlandsmedia.tv/co-founder. You can all be a co-founder. Let's keep going here. Danny Smith, 1953 for $20 says, "Love you both." We love you right back, Danny.
Indeed.
Thank you. G Fontes 119. Congress must have wanted to defer this power to presidents pretty bad via the War Powers Resolution of 1973, so badly that they overturned President Nixon's veto as if it were a pay raise. That is nuts. I saw somewhere, some state legislature, it might have been in Virginia even, but don't quote me on that, but they apparently voted to triple their own pay like the other day. It's ridiculous.
Sounds like the sort of thing they'd do.
Yeah.
We're going to get the hose again. We're going to keep getting the hose until we stop making the same mistakes.
I would agree with you. Then we got another old school 69. Says, "Sorry guys, one more photo before bed." Bedtime stories, anyone? I like that. Book of Trump bedtime stories. God, AI is so crazy. Already did the alpha ones. Real Mega Mama, devil's advocate. If we go to Congress for approval to attack Israel, if we ever needed to, could we trust Congress to keep it a secret? If we always need Congress's approval, why be commander-in-chief? Why be called commander-in-chief? So the founders intended. I think the founders, if for whatever, however much they anticipated we could potentially have like a captured Congress, they probably anticipated the people rising up and not allowing it to like remain that way. They probably didn't envision a permanent global regime type captured state like we have.
Or maybe they did.
Maybe they did. I don't know. The Final Demand says for $5, "Chris is right. We are more retarded now. All day on X, fake war footage that was from a video game was liked and shared millions of times, and they believe it is real. Great awakening, my ass."
Very, very good point. And of course, that was exactly what happened at the beginning of the special military operation in Ukraine back in 2022 with the Ghost of Kyiv.
And then Jay Gonzalez, 1123. Let's see, man, for $10, DFT challenge, two of the greatest minds. At least one of them.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No, I'm the bad guy tonight.
Hey, we're both bad guys tonight.
Donald Trump just posted, by the way.
Oh, let's go read it.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. You guys are great. Now that we got monetized again. Iran just stated that they're going to hit very hard today, harder than they have ever been hit before.
Harder. Wow. Yeah.
That's weird to say.
Yeah.
Iran just stated that they are going to hit very hard today, harder than they have ever been hit before. I think that "been" is misplaced.
Yeah.
They better not do that. Oh, sorry, let me put it in all caps. They better not do that, however, because if they do, we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. See how it's turned into tit for tit.
We could, when he hits them like no one has ever seen before, that is usually the discombobulator doing that. So I would not be surprised if we, at this point next week, are talking about a significant discombobulation event.
When one can only hope. I wonder if we're going to see nukes out of this. The threat of the nuke has been real enough. Maybe they have one. Maybe they're going to use it. Maybe this is a scare event everybody's been waiting for.
I can't believe that the media headlines weren't talking about how Donald Trump said the N-word 5 times in his late night speech.
JB gave me a lot of permission today to use the N-word.
Nuclear?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that one. No, G Fondas 119 says, "I heard about that Virginia bureaucrat pay hikes justifying the 50 new taxes their new CIA officer governor announced days after being sworn in because F Trump and democracy." Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. Gonna get hit hard. We're gonna hit them back harder. Okay, I want to find. I'm gonna say goodbye to YouTube because I am gonna play a YouTube video that will probably give us a ding or whatever. So, what was I gonna look up? South Park weather map. Anytime I see anybody using a map, this is what makes me think of. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope we didn't piss off everybody and just some of you.
It seems like we didn't piss off everybody. It's like 95% of the people are very happy, and then like 8 of them are totally melting down.
Yeah, that's okay. I think a lot of that is like trolls too. You know, people who we don't ever see, but then pop in just because they don't.
There's like this Badlands troll kind of, it's not just Badlands, by the way. It's this strategy where they go into Rumble chats and they immediately say hello to everybody in the chat to make friends with everyone in the chat. They do this over a long period of time. Sometimes they'll like send Rumble rants so that the hosts will say their names and they'll all seem like everybody's friends. And then they will be very carefully steering conversations in different directions, gatekeeping so that certain points are off limits. And you see kind of the cumulative effect of that over the course of months or years. And it's amazing just to still watch that regularly in our chats. It's like, where's this sort of thing coming from?
Yeah, I think a lot of our chat is pretty good at weeding that out. So we appreciate you guys. But YouTube, I'm going to get rid of you guys right now. Love you. And then we're going to watch